That's weird. It's asking me to sign in the chat. I wonder if it's got me on the wrong thing. 1 second here. Shows it here, but then it's got me. It's requesting me to sign in the chat. That's kind of annoying. Why? Why would it ask? Here. I guess use this one. Don't be annoying. Why? Why do you make me do these things? Seriously? Seriously? Alright, looks like I'm signed in. Let's test chat. Hi. That should pop up here. While that's running, I'll see if this is gonna work. Is BotRix gonna work? I'm gonna log into BotRix for a second. Why is this not working? For whatever reason, BotRix doesn't want to work. I should go check the BotRix widget in the in my YouTube profile settings. No, I'm not updating the stupid widget. Okay, so BotRix connected that time. Let me say hi again and see if it registers. Yay! Okay, so now I can put this somewhere, and hopefully it won't be in the way. And I'll be back into Maya. So, been tinkering around in here trying to get some testing things to work. So, for example, I've got an IK-FK switch, and I can switch it from FK to IK. And of course that changes the setup, and you can see them here. Right? I don't think I need this guy anymore, but maybe. So that works, and you can see that here inside the node editor. I've got the node editor. This is the main thing. So here's the switch. And there's the attribute, and then from the attribute, I'm using a condition node. We're just grabbing the first element. And I had to tinker around with these to figure out what they do. So this is the closest thing you can get to an if statement inside of this thing, as far as I know. So it compares the first term to the second term with whatever's in the color value. I guess it'll compare the color values as well. I don't know. So if I want this one to do like FK, I can't do true gives me FK and then false gives me IK. The way this works is the visibility value is a range of 0 to 1. So 1 it's on, 0 it's off. So if the first term it checks, if I grab that and just move it, the first term that it's going to check, it's going to compare with the second term value. So if I want this to be the FK, and since I'm using an enum on this, enum values store the first position is 0, second position is 1, and then 2, and then 3, and then 4, and so on. So whatever this value currently is, I want to check to see if it's one of these two terms. So I'm checking to see if the first term is 0, then I'm checking it against 1. So 1 will give me FK. If it is a 0, it gives me IK. But I need to have the visibility set to 1. So I need the positive value, or a value greater than 0 to go to visibility. So if it's FK, the value is 1, it just passes the 1 straight in. That's going to turn the visibility on. However, if it's IK is 0, I can't just take the direct value out because 0 into visibility at 0 would be invisible. So I need to flip the value. So there are a couple options in here. The first route that I took was the show FK value. I had this one set to comparing a term of 0, and then the second one, this one, is comparing the value of 0, but instead I'm taking the output color and I'm setting the output color to true with a value that I want. Same thing here, the output color on this can be true, and I can just take the true of the output color. So in essence, if these two get compared and it's a true and the value is true, it takes this one. If these two get compared and the value is false, it'll take this one. And that's a way that you can do it. You can take, that, but I found it to be tricky to take the false of this thing and get a reliable result. So doing 2 of them, 1 for each, worked out okay. But you can also use a reverse node. So the reverse node takes whatever the value is and then gives it the opposite value. So if this is coming in as 1, if this one comes in as 1, it'll go in and come out as 0. If it comes in as 0, it'll come out as 1, and it flips it back and forth. So either doing it this way or that way works. This just kind of shortens the amount of work you have to do because you can just reverse the one node. Ant CGI has a pretty good video on working in the node editor, so if you want to go tinker around with that, I recommend checking him out. He does a lot of stuff in this thing. I think I watched some of his stuff a while ago, and I got the gist of how the node editor worked, but then when I started tinkering with it, several months down the line, I couldn't remember how any of this stuff works. I had to go through and just reteach myself how it worked because I was too lazy to go back to the video. But, yeah. So anyway, I got that working, and then I wanted to see if I could, via Python script, talk to the IK-FK switcher and see if I can switch it to IK or FK. Because I do want to have the different limbs. So I've got the arms and the legs. I want those to have independent switches. But I also want to have a master switch that can just switch all of it to a certain type. But you're limited on what you can do inside of the node editor, and maybe it's just my knowledge of the node editor. But I can't think of... I'm in a logical trap here, right? I've got an if and else. I've got a true and false. That's all I have to work with, really. And if I feed a value in, like this, you can't modify a value that's being fed. Like I can't plant something there, you know, this is being overridden. You know, I can throw a number in here and it's going to say, no, you can't do that. It's got a value connected to it. So I can't have a master switch that I can toggle to switch everybody and then release the control so these guys can have the freedom back. You can't think of a way of doing it in the node editor. The only way I can think of doing it is through a script, and I'm not a big fan of using scripts just because they don't always move around. Like on my workstation, it's fine because I always have access to the script, so it doesn't matter what scene I'm in. The master, my master script folder is always connected to this machine. But if I'm working on the laptop or you know, somebody else on my team is doing this, I have to make sure they have that file. Otherwise, they're not getting the stuff. So that's why I generally try to not use scripts if I don't have to. But I can't think of another way of doing it. So anyway, I tinker around with the script to get it to run. Let me see if I can go ahead and paste that in. No, I don't want that. What do I need? I need this bit here. Alright, so on my current script I have it to set the enum value to 1, so I'm currently set to ik, which would be 0. So if I run this, it should set this to fk, and it does. So what it does is it gets the you have to import the Maya commands. That's just something you always have to do if you're using Python. And we just pass it to, you know, a variable, store this in there. That's fine, and then we can just recall that. I set some variables. In this case, I made a variable for my IKFK switch, and I'm passing in the direct name from here. So it's gonna, when I run this, it's grabbing that name and passing that object in. These variables are loosey-goosey. I don't really have to define an integer or a float, like I guess I could, but it should auto, and it does in this case. And then for the command, I'm using the command set attribute, so I'm getting the command from the command object, set attribute, and then I'm taking this value, which is just my IKFK switch variable, and then dot to get access to its members, and then the IKFK switcher, which is the name of this attribute here. So Maya displays a nice name, and it also has an actual name. So if I go in here and I get my edit attribute, the actual name of this thing is IKFK switcher. Here's the IKFK switcher name, that's the actual name, and then there's the nice name. So the nice name is the display name over here, but this is the real name. So when you're writing your Python script, or even Mel script, you want to be talking to the actual name of the thing, so just be aware of that. But once I do all that, I can switch it. So that was really just my test to see if I could get access to it and then switch it. I'm going to have to write a bigger version of this to do a little bit more. I may go through the trouble of writing one that does the auto snapping from IK to FK. I haven't decided yet, but I probably will. Just because, again, on this machine, I'll have access to the script. I'm just trying to find other ways if I can. So, but that said, I can save this current project, and I can go and start configuring Seldin's arm. So I'll go here and get him back. Here's my updated file. And let me get my node editor. Oh, and I don't have an IKFK switch per arm and leg. I didn't build one. But I did build it on here. So on the handle, I've got IKFK there. I do have one there. It's convenient to have it on the control, but what's not convenient is I have to get the name of every object that has an IKFK switcher on it. And the way I did this here is driver and then slider. Oh, I see. That's the divider. That's for this thing. It's an interesting choice of naming. So IKFK slider, I guess that's what I named that. Is that name consistent? Consistency's a thing. Why did I call it slider? It's not really a slide, you know. Switch, sure, but it's not really a slider. I don't know why I named it that way. Examine your reasoning. You know, tell my kids to do that all the time. Examine your reasoning. Alright, so the debate is, do I keep this here, or do I make one of these little tag nodes for a leg, left leg, right leg, arm, and all of that? Like, there is a convenience to have it there, but then how much do I care? I don't know if I even set this up to follow world space. I don't have a cog set up. I don't have hips. I don't think I ever did the space swapping. Man. Planning. Alright. Let's move that. Do I have... I've got old controls. What do I have in the old controls? Oh, that's the old shoulders. Yeah, I replaced it with those. Cog offset. Did I ever set up a cog control? I did design one, but I never actually did anything with it. So the cog is the center of gravity. So a lot of times you'll bind things to the pelvis, and like the hips will connect to the pelvis, and that kind of runs the whole skeleton. But sometimes it's more convenient to have the pelvis be its own thing, and then have a center of gravity that everything else kind of hinges on. I never set one up. I find it to be not entirely necessary for the rig that I was building, so I just didn't do it. But I prepped to do it, and I was like, well, I don't really need it, so I didn't do it. Just like I set up a bunch of the controls for the space swapping, but I'm not entirely sure I'm going to use all the space swapping tools. If I come across a scenario where I need it, then I might go back and rebuild it, but I don't know. Haven't decided. Alright. I guess I'll take this thing. Where are you hidden? Main control. Rig systems. Oh, I did make some. These are all hidden. Ah, much nicer. That's better, because then I don't have to go build them. Question is, are they hooked up? Do they do their thing? So the IK-FK part switches. It just doesn't switch those controls. Okay. So I'm going to set this back to FK. And I think I'll set all these to FK. I was gonna put a little wire that pointed from the FK to the hand. I don't know if I ever did, so I'm gonna go look in my Do Not Touch category. Open that up. It looks like I did set those up. Yes. So what that does is basically, as the hand moves, yeah, that points to what it belongs to. Okay. And it stays relevant or relative to the hand. Yay. Go past self. Hooray. Alright. So we need to have an OR node. An OR node would be fantastic. Maya, make an OR node. Then I don't have to script everything. So if I get this this guy, let's open up the node editor. I have a good place to put this thing. Let's go pull in all of its connections. Let's go take a look at all the things that make this thing matter. Okay, IKFK switch. I did 2 independent ones instead of doing a reverse node here. Yep. So IK is a value of 1, FK was a value of 0 in this case, because I set it up so that FK would be first on the list here. And the logic behind that, even though it doesn't really matter, most of the time you're going to be animating an FK. So that's just the one that used the most, so I put that one first. Okay. And then these are all going out to the various components. So there's the shoulder parent. Head controls, are those getting... Huh. Am I swapping space between the head for the head controls? Come here, you. I've got a target in. Spine 3 parent constraint. I have a constant rotate and a constant translate, and I'm passing those into the head control. Yeah, I think I'm switching the parent over. Head control. Yeah, it's got a parent constraint. Huh. Interesting. Did I do the same thing for the wrists? I don't think I went that complicated for the wrists. I think I'm using this to switch the FK controls entirely. So FK controls, IK controls. I shouldn't be able to do anything, yeah, those are pinned. And then the hand controls are independent because it's the same hand control regardless. Left ankle offset group. I apologize for the wind, we have a hurricane coming. Okay. Huh. That's all flipping all the constraints. So, for me to do this, I need to And get all the ARM constraints and the ARM controls for that IKFK switch, and then do it. Right now, this is the main switch. It's this guy. Like, I don't know how to have both of these at the same time. I can set each of these up independently, or I can have one master switch, which is what I have here. But I don't know how to do both. Because I can't think of a logical way in the node editor to perform an operation only once and not always have that being a driver. Right? Because if I set this to be FK, it tells everybody to be FK. I can't then have the child override the parent. That won't work. But I feel like having each of these individually and then have a master node that talks to the different pieces is better. I just don't necessarily want to go through the headache of having to set that up. But here we are. So I will need this and its controls here. I'm going to clear everything. Get all that, clear it, make sure I get this guy. I'll add that connection in. So far it's only connected to its own label. This is the left hand IKFK switch. And those conditions and the labels, that works. To get the constraints, I guess I'll do yeah, I'll need to get this one, that one, that one, and that one. And I want to add those to this list. Crap. And this. All right. I hate that it keeps flipping the graph. That's annoying. I want to just add these to it. Come on now. You, and you. Need a bit of add to my graph. Thank you. Why'd you add it in the middle? That's not very convenient. Okay, things I don't necessarily need. I don't need the shape nodes. So you and you. And you guys, I don't need. If you're ever working in this thing, don't hit delete. You're actually selecting objects. You just want to hit the remove from graph. If I grab a control, I'm actually grabbing that control. So if I delete from here, I'm really deleting from there. So kind of important. So I've got these, but I also need to have the constraints that go with it. So where are the parent constraints? Where is Harvey Dent? Skeletons. How many skeletons do you have in your closet? So FK, I need to go into the FK list here. That's the hip, spine, pelvis. Where's the arms? Spine, spine 1. There we go. Left wrist, constraints, wrist, elbow, shoulder, collar, wrist, elbow, shoulder, collar. I don't need the spine constraints, so I'll add these to my graph. I'll go over here. Okay. Chances are I'll have to destroy the connections that I already have with it. I'm in between starving and wanting a nap. Alright. So the visibility on this should be okay. Okay, so I actually have the wrong constraints here. What? Don't make the siren noise. The cats are outside having the best time. Now he's trying to get all the cats in. Alright, so I have different constraints here. And what I want... I'm grabbing the constraints of the FK skeleton, which is not actually what I needed. I need the main skeleton here. So the root skeleton, go ahead and open that up. So let's remove the other ones first. I don't need these, so I'll just remove from graph. I still want these controls. Wrist, elbow, shoulder, collar. Left side, yep. And then each one of these, put them in order. Each of these should have a control value. You can see there's an FK and IK. There's a 1 and a 0. So a weight of 1 and a weight of 0. Weight of 1, weight of 0. Let's see if I can hook these up. Collar, shoulder, elbow, wrist. Pull these over here. Like I said, I may have to disconnect the other controllers, so I want the visibility of this to kind of come out and go to I never specified. Anyway, this should be IK. Or FK. So, there's an FK control. Sorry. Shoulder to shoulder. Elbow, visibility to the FK. I think I'm going in the right direction. Stop being a jerk. Get on that. There we go. And then if this is going to be, this is the condition for the FK, so I'll open up the condition for FK, and I'll plug that into the visibility over here. That switch works. Okay. But how is that going to be affected if this switch is on? So it looks like I'm allowed to do both. I don't trust it, but that did work. Now the IK isn't popping up so I haven't hooked it up yet. Okay. I'm going to keep going and see what happens. Okay, so that's going in there. I need to get the IK controls as well as the IK constraints. No, these are the same constraints. I just need to get the controls. So under the IK control list, IK controls, open that up. I need the wrist, elbow, and shoulder controls. So here's the collar, wrist, elbow. Collar, wrist, elbow. Let's add to our list. I'll just go over here. I need you, you, and you. I don't need these. Collar. Elbow. Wrist. Okay. Visibility of that. And then the visibility of this goes to the IK. I've been mowing on my almond M&Ms, but the debris likes to clog the back works here. Okay. Just checking the chat. I closed my chat thingy. Oh well. Go away. Don't ask me to update things if you're not going to really do it. Okay. So that is collar, and this is collar. That's correct. Elbow. You know, I've been kind of going about this the wrong way, though. I'm doing this in the most complicated way possible. Like, it just, like, light bulb. I'm doing the individuals. And not the parent group. But maybe I have to do it that way. Because if I go back and look at this thing, maybe I have to do it this way. I have a main control group here, right? I can turn the main control group off, and that gets everybody. But I'm already doing that on this one. So let me go ahead and pull in the FK and IK control groups and just see if I can do, I'm going to close the editor there. I'm going to pull these guys in, move out over here. Holy jeez, that's a lot. Okay. It's just you two guys, right? Yeah. I want to see if I can pass in the value on those. Because maybe I can, and maybe I can't. So here's the label. Let me break the connection to this one. I'll break the connection to that one. And just test this. This should have no response now. Okay. I'll plug this one directly into visibility on the FK controls over here. That's flipped. Did I pick the wrong one? I did. Ah, come on, you. Okay, so that looks like it's on. I don't know how that's going to change things. I don't know. So I'm on FK here. That one's on FK. The master override. I swapped it here, and that does swap. But it isn't overriding. Right, because I have two values feeding into them, right? So this one is set to IK, that one's set to FK. You can see FK controls are still on over here. But if I grab this guy and set him to IK, now they're all off. What if I set this one back to FK? Do I force them all to be on? No. So I'm having a conflict, right? So I think the way that I have to do it is have the master control under its own group, and then have I can make subgroups in there with the individual controls, and maybe that will work, question mark. But even if the controls are on, do they still have control? We're kind of mixing hands here. It's like when you have it's your chain of command, right? If the sergeant tells you to do something, but then the lieutenant tells you to do something, but then the general tells you to do something, which one do you do? Well, you would do whatever the general tells you, right? In the hierarchical structure. But I don't know. Like if the general says to do something and then the sergeant tells you to do something later, it doesn't override what the general said. So is that how this is going to work? Man. I think so, question mark? Hey, how's it going? Welcome to the stream. I'm just tinkering with the rig and working through my own headaches. I think before I dig too deep into him, that sounded wrong, I should go experiment on the other thing. So I'll do that. Let me go back up a level. Open this one. I won't save in case I broke something. Alright. So you are IKFK master, and you are IKFK switch. And I have my controls. I'm going to put them inside of a group. IKFK master. Crapadoodle. No. What I need to doodle, I need to duplicate these. So I've always struggled with keeping things simple, which is what I'm struggling with right now. This needs to happen, but for me to duplicate this, I can't just duplicate it, I don't think. Because then I have to make all those connections again. I'll do this. This will be the IK master, and this will be the FK master. And you will go inside of FK master. You're going to go inside of IK master. Okay, and then I'll connect you to them. I had to make sure I was on the right thingamajig. Move you over here. I don't need the shape node. So you control these guys. These guys. FKIK. I need a condition node. I believe it's value 0 on this version. And I'm not going to do a reverse node, I'm just going to do it this way. My brain understands this better. So, on you, value is 0, return is true, values are 0. And then this one value is 1, return is still true. Okay. So the output of this goes here. Output of that one goes there. Simple enough. Alright, so you're set to FK. Right now you're set to none, but if I do IK, that's backwards. IK is 0, FK is 1. Alright. So I have those reversed. Alright, so the master controller can... Let's say if I set this to IK, it overrides this guy. But this guy still has some control. But this one is not showing because its parent is off. Right. That one's label doesn't change. It must not have brought in its these guys. Just making sure the labels are connected, and then going from there. So if this one says IK, this one says FK, I don't see this one popping up. This one's parent is still off. So what I want from the master control is I want to very quickly, if I swap this from IK to FK, so if I, on the master, if I do this and say, hey, I want this to be FK, I want it to send a signal, a broadcast down to all the children that FK is turned on, all the children are turned off, but I don't want it to be permanent. I just want it to say, hey, flip the switch, they all flip, and then on the child object, on him, I can say, hey, I can switch my own individually and still have that freedom. I think I'm going to have to set up a second a second one on here. I hear a tree falling. Alright, so I'm going to pause here. I hear a tree out there doing some crinkly crackling, so I'm going to move.